YouTuber.
What's your rarest cube? I don't know how to identify a rare cube or rarest one. Do you have an
Mm.
answer to this question? Oh, maybe my
Uh,
1 cm cube, it's not so rare anymore because it's mass produced, but probably it's rare. What about you, Blake?
I
Oh, you have some big puzzles there. Can you bring some of them, please?
yeah, there's one that I have in mind. I
Mm-hmm.
I don't have all my puzzles here, so I think some of my possible
Unfortunately.
answers aren't over here. But
Uh-huh.
um, so I got this one gift to myself, and I think this is really
Ah,
cool.
I want to
Um,
solve that. I want to try to solve it.
yeah,
Once.
it's really difficult.
Once.
Yeah, I haven't done like a
uh,
complete solve, but I've
uh-huh.
um there's like an online simulator that can
Ah, yeah, yeah.
where you can solve like all different kinds of puzzles. So
Mm-hmm.
I messed around on that, not necessarily on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to figure out some commutators and such so that I can scramble that and
Mm-hmm.
solve it again. But there's also like this version, like this is the
Oh, I
smaller
think that's
version.
easier. I can do that probably. Mm-hmm.
It's you know what,
Is
Gio? I
is
think
it difficult? Mm-hmm.
how about I send that over and you'll get a YouTube series or a
Uh,
Twitch.
I, I want to say that I'll just buy myself my own puzzle, but I think it's impossible to find out one here in the Philippines. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
difficult. But yeah, it's also my dream to solve a lot of non-WSA puzzles because even before cubing, I really love puzzles already, brain teasers. I love thinking so much. Yeah, sometimes
hmm
there are things that I shouldn't be thinking of, but I still think of them. It's annoying. Yeah.
right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
just an insert question there. What is your most favorite? Well, favorite and most. That's redundant. What is your favorite non-WSA puzzle? Yeah, even though you don't have it, but it's you think you love it so much.
I actually think I do have it. If you've heard of the Tut Mix,
How many
that
faces does that thing have?
so
24?
this is 32 faces.
32.
Yep. And one of my
Uh,
favorite aspects
and it's face
of
turning,
making,
right?
yes, it turns around the faces.
Mm-hmm.
There's two different types. So this
Uh-huh.
one is like a hexagon. So you have to make sure to
Uh-huh.
turn it twice. Um, make
Ah.
sure it lines up. But the pentagons, these ones you can turn as many times as you want, and you're good. So I really love the color scheme I came up with for this.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like a
Yeah,
an image.
it's like fading and getting dark like that. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
what you did with the color scheme.
yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit tricky to solve, but
hmm
I think it just looks so nice when it's
I
solved.
think I
Uh,
can solve it. I think I can solve most puzzles because I know commutators. Yeah,
right.
but
This one you definitely
mhm.
can,
Uh-huh.
because it's very similar to a Megaminx. There's
Yeah.
really not much that changes. There's one little quirk
Uh-huh.
once you get towards the end that
Uh-huh.
might come
Uh-huh.
up that might
Yeah.
stump you a little bit, but
Yeah, you just do
as
some commutators with the last layer. I think you can solve that one. So
yep,
that's your
yep.
favorite. What is it called again?
So that's called a Tutmix.
What?
TUTC. Yeah, I can type it in the chat.
Ah, toot or toot minx. That one. Someone asked me before during my streams if I have it, and I also couldn't pronounce it that time. And yeah, I just remembered it's that one. Yeah. Anyway, what's your most hated puzzle from Chisaki?
Hmm.
Most hated.
That's a great question.
I'm also thinking actually. Um.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have an immediate answer.
I'm gonna say the Master Morphix. Yeah, the Master
Yeah,
Morphix
yeah.
is just a tree by tree, but somehow it's annoying. It doesn't look like a tree by tree.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a great answer for that. They're definitely I've been keeping since like 2009, 2010.
Yeah. Anyway,
So
if you
they're
love
definitely
puzzles, you love all puzzles, most likely.
I love each
Mm-hmm.
puzzle in its own way.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
I think we can put it that way. And from
Sometimes you love
mhm,
them for how bad they are.
uh-huh. So we have one
Yep.
from Kara, a really long question here. Did you enjoy more when you first learning puzzles or when you are at peak level just trying to get fast?
Learning 100%.
Mhm.
Because the way I can interpret that question is not necessarily learning how to solve it for the first time.
Mhm.
Actually, that is the
Figuring out
question.
is
When you
the
first
best
learning,
part for me. Mhm.
yeah, figuring it out or even following a tutorial sometimes and
Mhm.
learning how to solve it is a fun time because that sometimes it's just like I don't really know where to start or I get
Mhm.
confused,
Mhm.
and I just never really get into it. So even with some WCA puzzles,
Mhm.
that's a way that I've motivated myself to use them after them
Mhm.
just sitting for a while. But yeah, Kira mentioned first learning puzzles, but if we're talking about learning puzzles, then
Mhm.
maybe learning algs or algorithms falls into
Uh-huh.
that, and that's something I definitely really enjoy. Um, and so if we interpret the question that way, then the answer is still the same. But,
No matter how you
um,
interpret it, it's the same. Same answer.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think, getting fast, for me at least, is
Mhm.
usually a side effect of me just enjoying solving puzzles.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily shoot for like milestones or anything like that. Sometimes it's nice
Mhm.
as like a means of improvements, but
Mhm.
it's not necessarily always my focus. I really like doing like casual 3x3 solve.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that translates into competition results, and other times it doesn't. But that's okay with me as long as I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned about competitions. Let's talk about your competition achievements. I browsed your WCA profile a little bit. I forgot to look at the numbers. I just checked your WCA ID and that's it. I forgot to check. So maybe you can tell us. Mhm. I know some of your achievements, but I'm not so much aware of them. So can you tell us what kind of? Do you have any national records, world records, galaxy records?
Oh yes, I plenty of galaxy records to show.
Uh huh.
Um, no, I've had two continental records, so North American records in my
Mm-hmm.
case. Very
Which events?
unremarkable.
Which events?
Oh, how about you guess?
I should have checked your profile earlier.
I'm quizzing you on my profile.
Not three by three. Guys, you guess. Help me guess, guys. Don't look at the profile, okay? Yeah, not three by three. Or it's three by three.
It is not 3x3.
Ah,
Neither.
I thought so. Not feet, right?
No. No, 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 no,
Guys,
no,
any
no.
any guesses? Continental, sorry, continental record on BLD.
No.
Oh, I thought it was BLD.
Really?
I know your BLD time is faster than mine. Yeah, I think
No.
I'm one of the slowest in our team. Yeah.
Not for long.
Carol looked it up, and yeah, help me, Carol. What's the answer? You don't like big cubes, right?
Correct.
Square one?
No.
No. That's Gil. Gil loves square one so much.
Yes. Uh,
Um,
one of them is a side event.
FMC.
That is one of them.
Oh, continental record? FMC? How
So
many moves?
I was the first person in North America to get a mean in fewest moves. So I didn't get that
Wow.
record by nature of how many moves
How
I
many?
got, but more so just because everybody else DNF, and I
Uh
happened to be the first one in North America
huh.
to have the opportunity to do 3
Uh huh.
and do them successfully. So it was like 41.67 moves or something, which is
What is
terrible.
your PB in FMC?
Officially, it's a 21 solve.
Oh, that's really
Um,
fast.
yeah,
Almost almost God's algo. God's algo is
yeah,
18 to 20, right?
yep,
How
yep.
did you do that? Do you have like methods? Do you know any secret methods to come up with only 21 moves?
if I were to pull up the reconstruction,
Mm-hmm.
you would be able to follow it because it was very similar to like a normal C fob.
So you just
Um,
got lucky, you're saying?
yep,
Really? Really?
100%.
That's
Yep.
so nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I went to a lot of competitions, and eventually,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get lucky scrambles like that. That's just how,
Yeah.
um, and especially when you have that
Mm-hmm.
much time to look at a scramble.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, eventually, you'll sometimes run into a solution like,
Uh-huh.
crap, I was just trying to solve the cube and I
Well,
got
if
21
if
minutes.
you have lots of opportunity to join a competition, yeah, that can happen. In
Mhm.
our place, competitions rarely happen, so yeah, that's
Yep.
why I have more DNFs than good solves actually. Yeah.
Uh,
And a Chisaki question here: what is your first non-WCA or WCA puzzle? Probably for WCA it's 3x3, right? What is your first non-WCA puzzle, or let's say irregular puzzle?
well, I don't know about non-W. Actually, I do know about non.
Mm-hmm.
But my first WCA puzzle is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, my first one was the 3x3. That's the case for most people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I didn't really understand how to solve when I tried. When I
Uh-huh.
tried, just by myself, and that was going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But then even when I watched a video, I just couldn't follow it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really interested in cubing in general, the puzzles
Mm-hmm.
that existed, and cubing on YouTube at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've heard of Me, Myself, and Pi, a YouTube channel?
What was that? Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the YouTube channel name is Me, Myself, and Pi.
Pie. Okay, it's like me, myself, and I, but pie instead. Mhm. Yeah.
Yep,
Anyway,
it's a
guys, follow Blake
yeah.
on YouTube, guys. Me, myself, and pie. Yeah. Mhm. Do
Well,
you,
that's not
what?
my
What?
channel.
What? Sorry. Mhm.
No, that's the channel I watch.
Ah,
Um,
I thought it's yours. Sorry, sorry.
no,
But yeah, we will
no,
also check that one. Yeah. So.
you don't have to.
Uh huh. Anyway, please
um,
continue. Hmm.
yeah, so I watched a lot of like their videos, people who were uploading cubing things on YouTube at the time, and
Hmm.
I was really interested by that aspect. And so I actually got a Pyraminx and a
Hmm.
Megaminx,
Hmm.
and I didn't even know how to solve a 3x3, but I was just like, these look so cool,
Hmm.
that I ordered them from eBay. It took
Hmm.
like 2 months to arrive or something like that.
Uh
But
huh.
I was like, yeah. So the first puzzle I solved was Pyraminx because it's
Hmm.
easy enough to where you can just like
Ah, yeah. Hmm.
accidentally solve it essentially. Um,
Hmm.
and then I think like that was in March of 2009, and in August of 2009, I learned how to solve the three by three.
Hmm.
So before then, I had just been messing with my Pyraminx for all that time. And then the
Uh-huh.
Mega Minx, I don't know when I learned that, but my first non-WCA puzzle, I ordered shortly after those, and it was like, if you've heard of like a mirror cube,
I
um,
know. I have a mirror key. Hmm.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So it was that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not in the WCA. So that
Uh-huh.
fits the
Uh-huh.
definition.
Yeah, it's just annoying that some cubers who are so good at solving a 3x3 can't solve a Rubik's cube. I mean, can't solve a mirror cube. Yeah. It's just yeah, common sense. No. Anyway, they're
Yeah,
going to hit me for
that's
that comment. I'm very sorry. Mhm. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So Chisaki, what are you asking? Did you hesitate learning full OLL and PLL when you were a beginner? By the way, are you a full PLL or OLL user?
Yes.
So did you hesitate to
Um,
learn all of them?
well, I started with Tuluk, OLO, and PLO, which was pretty
Mm-hmm.
standard at the time, and I think it still is these days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I learned full PLL first before full OLO,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't say I really hesitated. I learned them at like a natural progression, like picking up some
Mm-hmm.
PLLs here and there, and
Mm-hmm.
then similar for OLO.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I generally was pretty fine with learning
Mm-hmm.
ALGs back then,
Mm-hmm.
especially. Um, there are a lot of people who don't necessarily want to learn all the PLLs and
Mm-hmm.
all the OLLs, and that's fine. They can make their own choice.
Uh-huh.
But for me, I didn't mind learning ALGs, and I found it actually pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't really hesitate with either of those.
Well, when it comes to PL and OLL, you just have to memorize them. Well, that's not easy, but at least it's easier than figuring out first two layers, F to L. So,
Mhm.
what can you advise to some cubers or cuber wannabes, cubers wannabe that are giving up on learning F2L because they think it's too hard?
Well, you can totally do it.
Mhm.
There are a lot of resources out there nowadays that you can refer to. There are a lot of Discord communities that you can to if you need
Mhm.
help with particular cases or if you're just confused over.
Mhm.
The important thing is that F2L shouldn't come naturally.
Mhm.
Um, it shouldn't come naturally to anybody, and it's something that you're gonna have to learn. Some people might learn it quicker than others, but if you're struggling, if you're not really understanding some of the cases, you don't have to feel bad about that. That's just how it is sometimes,
Mhm.
and that's not a it's
Mhm.
not a sign that you can't learn F2L or that it's not worth looking into it. Um, Generally, in a lot of times in cubing, especially like for solving it, and sometimes even with like F2L and
Mhm.
such, um, it's a matter of when it finally clicks, right? So you're not necessarily trying to learn anything specific, but you realize all of a sudden, like, oh wow, that's how that case works. Or like, oh, that's why JPER mentioned this in his tutorial.
Uh-huh.
That's a good tip to keep in mind. And so just like moments like that can really change your progress in
Mhm.
such a short span of time. So yeah, just stick with it. Understand that F2L, OLL, PLL, especially the
Mhm.
latter two, they're not going to come naturally, and
Mhm.
uh, sometimes you just need to look at a different tutorial too.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe that helps to give a new perspective. But yeah, just don't give up, and you'll get it
Mhm.
eventually.
Yeah.
That's been
What
the
do you think about newer cubers? I call them the pandemic cubers, who are just relying on tutorials and just memorizing algs without actually understanding how they work. What do you think about that kind of learning and cubing?
I don't necessarily see anything wrong with it.
Mhm.
By learning Alex, do you mean you see a particular F2L case and you just know what moves
Mhm.
to do, not
Mhm.
necessarily like what you're trying to do? Is that what
Mhm.
you're asking?
What I'm
Yeah.
saying is that from my experience, I learned cubing partially just on my own and just trying to figure out how to do it, how to improve. I mean, and then partially relying on the Friedrich method back then. Yeah, that's how I learned. But nowadays, pandemic cubers, they just look at a website, memorize everything. Like this is how to do this case, how this is how to do this case, without actually understanding the concept behind how to solve a Rubik's cube. Yeah, that is the reason why if you give a mirror cube to someone who can solve a 3 by 3, they cannot solve it, even though it's the same concept because they are just memorizing what they were taught on the YouTube video. So, what do you think about that kind of learning?
I mean, it's everybody can make their own choice as to how they want to
Mm-hmm.
learn. Sometimes the intuitive understanding comes after learning the
Mm-hmm.
algorithm.
Uh huh.
Um, and I think if what you're trying to learn that's intuitive
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come right away, that's what it ends up being anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get to a point where you're like, I don't understand what's going on.
Uh huh.
What's the algorithm for this? And
Uh
then you
huh.
realize, oh, okay, that's how it works.
I just
Um,
hope that they see it that way. I just hope. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes just seeing the solution helps to allow
Mm-hmm.
everything to click, and then you get the intuitive
Mm-hmm.
understanding. So I don't see anything wrong with it.
Uh huh.
Everybody's up to everybody learns differently.
Yeah.
And as long as it works for you,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, and Kira said algs is necessary to get fast. Yeah, so I think memorizing is really a useful thing. Yeah, and going back to you, I mean we're still talking about you. 3 by 3 is already difficult to solve. I mean, CFOP is already very difficult to learn. Why did you step up into solving tree blind or learning? Why did you learn tree blind?
Well, I'll go back to another point because
Uh huh.
Kira mentioned Alex are necessary to get fast, and that's not the
Mhm.
case.
Uh huh.
You don't need Alex to get fast. They certainly help,
Uh huh.
and if you run into some kind of barrier,
Mm-hmm.
that should be a very immediate thought. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to break sub 30, sub 20, sub 15, and you're like, what the heck do I do? I have no idea why I can't break
Mm-hmm.
this barrier. Try learning some else. It won't
Mm-hmm.
break the barrier necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but it'll, at least doing something to help with it is better than just like sitting down and being frustrated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Alex aren't necessary, but they certainly help.
Uh-huh.
And you shouldn't you shouldn't feel the need to avoid them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
in terms of three blind,
Mm-hmm.
it was an event that I actually didn't do for the longest time.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it all that much, or at least like doing the attempts, and
Uh-huh.
it took so long, and it took a lot of focus.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's something I really like about speed solving is that you can do casual
Mm-hmm.
solves, you like and still time in them. You can't really do that for three blind.
Uh-huh.
You can't really have like a TV show playing in the background, or
And then
listening to
doing
music.
blind, yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. So so I put it off for a while for that reason. And then eventually I decided to just pick it up and try to
Mm-hmm.
get it to success. And so I learned I learned M2 Opakman,
Uh-huh.
and I practiced a bit with that, and it got to a point where I was like, I haven't reached my peak,
Uh-huh.
but I think I want to learn three step. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily to help me get faster,
Mm-hmm.
but because I feel like I want to learn it eventually. And
Uh-huh.
right now is a time where I have a lot of free time to
Uh-huh.
learn it. And the hardest part about three style is learning it for the first time and understanding it.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
picking it back up once you have that intuitive understanding,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much easier than starting completely fresh. So
Uh-huh.
so that
Uh-huh.
was something that I kept in mind, and I figured, I can do three style solves casually,
Mm-hmm.
without necessarily doing them blindfolded.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I've learned
I usually do
freestyle
that a
for
lot, yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I learned freestyle, and I haven't really done much blind since then.
Uh-huh.
I kind of got more interested with
What is your
just messing
PB?
around with.
What is your tree blind PB?
So I don't know if I quite broke sub one. I think I was
Uh-huh.
pretty close. I might have
Mm-hmm.
had a couple of them, but I don't remember off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
me, I
But
haven't
I,
broken sub one. Yeah, I'm so close. 1.01.10. Yeah,
yeah,
so close already. Mm-hmm. Uh,
you'll get there.
I
That's a
hope
cool
so.
time though, if
Mm-hmm.
nothing else. If nothing
Yeah,
else,
but it's been so long. It's been years already. I haven't broken it yet.
it'll
Yeah.
happen. Don't you worry. Yep.
Anyway,
Um,
it's more than 1 hour already, I guess, or it's almost an hour technically because we should have started at 1 p.m. And I don't want to actually do what I did to the first two interviewees to Blake because I think I talked with them for more than 2 hours. So I think we're going to have the last. But anyway, I still want to talk with you. Still have a lot of questions, but we're going to have the last 5 questions for the camera. Okay, so guys, please ask the question.